Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sugar Melts. So it's a quiet Sunday morning, and I decided today what I want to do is I'm going to make some small notebooks that I'll have ready to go into a journal. And so I grabbed, I've got this, I love this. It's that craft material with sort of a neutral pattern on the front. And I'm going to cut this down. I keep a notebook always in my craft room so that I can sketch out ideas sometimes before I start cutting, just to make sure I've got the math worked out. And I think I can make 3 notebook covers, small mini notebook covers, out of this one sheet of paper. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to take this 12 by 12 and I'm going to cut it at 4 to make a 4 by 12 strip that I'm going to fold in half. So it'll be a nice tall notebook that would slide into a pocket or a horizontal belly band. And then over here, I'm going to have 2 8 by 6 pieces. And one of those, I'm just going to fold in half and do a simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And then the other one, I'm going to cut in half so that there'll be 2 pieces of 6 by 4. And then I can do, I've heard different terms for this stitch. I've heard it called the Japanese stitch. I've heard it called the Korean stitch. It's 5 holes, and it's great for paper that is too small to fold in half, but you know, you don't want to throw it away. And so well, I'll show you. So let me go ahead and I'm going to start chopping this up. And then I grabbed some ivory copy paper, some craft colored copy paper, nice and thin, so it'll be great for these small notebooks, and then some coffee dyed paper. And I'm just gonna chop this up and I'll be back in a minute. Hey, so I'm back. I've got my paper all cut down. And what I did, so I've got here, this is the long strip. This is that top portion. And then over here, I've got these, there we go, these 2 bottom pieces. So I cut down this 12 by 12, and from here, I'm going to make a couple different notebooks. As I said, I have my my rough draft of what I'm going to do here scribbled out, and we'll see how this goes. This is a great way to have just some notebooks ready to go into a journal to use up if you've only got, say, 1 piece left of a pack. This is just such a good use of time. And it's so easy to sew these together. And so it can be a really nice, just to do this in the evening, just sitting in front of the TV. I'm just now seeing this one's a little off by about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to just trim that and get them even. Always measure, then measure again. You cannot measure too much. There we go, just to get those together. And so for my paper, so this pack here, so these are the 3 different styles of paper. I'm going to put those in this notebook. Okay, and I do sometimes, I'm okay with the cover being a little larger than the paper, because when the paper is, most of this kind of paper is going to be 8.5 by 11. And so if I trim just a little bit down, I can get more sheets out of it and less waste. So I'll frequently trim the 8.5 just to 8 for 2 4-inch halves, and then the 11 inside, instead of having it trimmed right to 6, I can do 2 5.5. And I can get more out of that paper pack, then more paper. So, and then I'm maybe left with a little bit, which is fine. Most books have a little extra, or I can trim that down. Once you start folding it, you'll see a lot of it sticks out anyways. So we may end up trimming it later. Okay, and then I've got a bunch of paper here. And when paper is this small, you can certainly fold it into a pamphlet style, but at that point it's almost annoying when people do these micro mini journals. I'm like, what are you going to do with that? I don't understand. So this is a great stitch for that, because it's going to go like this, and you've got all your papers here, and you've got a nice good size paper. So that'll be another journal. And then this stack here, this is 4 by 6. And so this journal is going to go right around and wrap. And this piece, so the back side will be the back cover of the journal, of the notebook. And this can fit, again, into a pocket, into a belly band. You don't even have to put the whole journal in, just the back cover, and it will stay nice and secure. I've done that many times. Because sometimes you can certainly sew a signature in to a journal. I do that a lot. But sometimes, you know, you put the journal together and you didn't leave enough space for that. So having a belly band or a pocket that you can put this into is great. And the other thing I wanted to mention, this is 12 by 6, and so my paper is 4 by 6. I'm sorry, 4 by 12, 4 by 12, 4 by 12, and the paper is 4 by 6. If this backside, or if this whole thing is not quite 12, that's okay. The backside doesn't have to be as long as the front, as long as it covers it, if that's how you like it. But the backside, if it's going to be in a pocket or a belly band, no one's ever going to know if it comes up an inch or two short. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So this is also great for when you have a lot of journals, one-page wonders that we see. They have those top-loading pockets. And top-loading pockets are so cute. But if you put something small in there, you're never going to get it out. So this is great to go in those top-loading pockets. Okay, let's do this one first. So if 2 of these will be sewn together, sewn with different stitches, and then this one we're probably gonna, well, I haven't really decided, staple, glue, something like that. Okay, so let me show you how I do this. So when I'm doing these long flip top kind of notebooks, so this will be 12 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and score it right at 6. But because this is just a personal preference, and these are pretty much, I think these are identical. It doesn't really matter which one's the top. But go ahead and decide when you're doing this, which one you want to be the top. And I'm just going to say that's the top. So then I give myself, I go over just a hair, just a little bit, to give it a top spine, if that makes sense, where the paper's going to rest. And then I go over a couple of more, and this will be, and actually should have gone the other way. Oh, we're going to flip it like that. So that the back side is shorter. So we're still at the 6. Give yourself a little bit just for that paper to sit in so that it will lay flat, kind of like a spine. And then I go over about, let's go over about 1/4 of an inch. And this way we can glue this as like a top cover, so that it will glue down and cover any staples or whatever we do on that paper. Okay, I'll show you. It'll come together, I promise. Okay, so get your bone folder or whatever you use and fold along these. So you've got 3 now. When you've got a really small score mark, like those 1/8 of an inch ones, I find it easiest to go into the middle when I'm doing it. For some reason, that just seems a little easier. Okay, this may have come up a little short. No, there we go. Here we go. So then we fold it back down, and there we are back at that 6th mark. So that's going to be our cover. Okay, so our paper is going to rest in here against that 1/8 of an inch. This will be secured down against the paper, so when you flip it up, it'll look like that. Super cute. Okay. Let's just double check our measurements on everything, make sure everything kind of fits. Looks like I could trim it down a little bit. You know, for right now, I'm just not going to worry about it. I kind of like it. There is a lot of paper in here, so let me double check that 1/8 of an inch I gave myself is going to work. So see how that, see if you can see that. It goes against that little spine we made so that it lays flat. I haven't glued or stapled anything, and yet it's holding together flat. That's what you want to see. You don't want to have to force these things closed the whole time. So there's different ways of securing this. I like, I've glued before, but that can be kind of a challenge. So what I normally end up doing, I've got two things here. One, oh, where is it here? Okay, so one of them is this stapleless staple gun, and it just compresses in, and it works fine. Or I bought this, I think it was $6 for this staple, but what it does, look at this, it keeps spinning all the way around so that whatever angle you're at, this will work. And I couldn't really see the line inside. It's got where the staple is going to go, and sometimes I couldn't see it real clearly, so I just put some washi tape around it so I can line it up really well. So let's go ahead and I'll do this one with this staple gun here, or this is not a staple gun, just a staple. Okay, so let's get this right where I want it. And it's not quite what they call a long reach, but it does give you that 365 to get into those weird corners. And I'm not going to staple through the top one. Okay, so we're just going to put this nice and flush all the way up. Okay, and this, if you've got clips, you may want to use your clips at this point. I'm just going to get that right up against there. Oops. And then, because of where my washi tape is, I should, let's see if that's going to be the right spot. Oops. Am I out of staples? Well, of course I'm out of staples. I'm on camera. Seriously. That is just too, no, I can see the staples in there. Why did they not go through? I guess I got it too close. See, I missed my paper. Okay, so we're going to try that again. I'm going to try that again. I've got a staple. I just missed my paper. Okay, that's okay. So what I want to make sure is that when I have that 1/4 of an inch cover going down, that it covers that staple. That's perfect. There we go. See what I'm saying? Hopefully that makes sense. So now when we glue this down, and we can trim that down, that's no big deal. This is going to fold up, and you're not going to see that staple. Love it. Okay. So what I do is I put the glue on the cover. I don't want to put too much because I don't want to glue the whole cover down. I just want to glue that scored section. Okay. And we're going to push that down. Don't put too much because you don't want to just ooze out and secure this part down. So we're just going to hold that for a second, and then we'll just put that back in the trimmer. We can trim up all these sides here. That's no big deal. No big deal. And then you can see how this back part is just going to slide into a pocket. It'll be great. It's going to be great. Okay. Look at that. Isn't that just perfect? Okay, so I'm going to go over to my trimmer and just trim this paper down just a tear, just a little bit. Okay, let's go in here. Trim that just a little bit. There, perfect. That's just going to be great. So there's one notebook down. And then I've got this one here, and we'll just do a pamphlet stitch on that. So for these, I usually score the thicker cover, and then I just fold these in half. So I'll just start with folding these. These sometimes come out a little irregular, and I'm okay with that. If you're not, you can, again, just keep trimming them up until you get them exactly the way you want them. But I think irregularity just adds to the character. But it's much easier to see when you don't have a camera on you and you can get your head in the way. My head's probably been in the way this whole time. Sorry about that. This is my coffee stained paper. I should probably make more of this. I just use leftover coffee. I'll use leftover grounds and soak them in water. And then I can just use, you can use any kind of paper. Just be real careful with copier paper. It can get very weak very quickly. I've seen different ways that people do it. My personal preference is I have a drying rack. And so I can usually get about, 15 pages on a drying rack, and it just dries so fast. So let's see. Kind of like the idea of having that on the outside. So let's just mix these up so every page is kind of unique. And for those of you who were started out with, stamping, if that was your kind of how you got into this craft, this is a great time. You can break out your stamps and put some images on some of these notebooks while you're just relaxing today and not putting too much pressure on yourself to finish a whole project, just to relax. Okay. And again, I like to do both sides. It just helps bend those fibers, softens them up. Okay, I like this ink, so I'm going to make that the cover, not that it matters in this moment. And then let's see. Perfect. Okay, get my clips out. These are sewing clips. Not sure how in the world I ever came upon them, but I have them and they work great. Some big binder clips can leave marks on your paper. These little sewing clips do not. They're just enough to hold it in place where I want it. If you are using big binder clips and you've had marks, you can always stick something under that clip, between the clip and the paper, to protect your paper, whether it's material, whether it's chipboard, something like that will help protect your paper. Okay, I got my little mini ruler here. So we are right at 6 inches. Got my awl tool, love this. I'm just gonna go right in at 3, double check, perfect. It went right through on the spine. Oops. And even though we may be an inch culture, not a centimeter culture, centimeters can be great for projects like this, so you're not dealing with quarters and halves and things. So this comes in, for example, it's 15 centimeters. It's right at 7.5. And I like the idea of going right at 3, which is not going to be an exact number in the imperial system. So flip your ruler over, and I'm going to go down to 12 then. And that's going to give me the distance that I want between all 3. And I come out right on the spine. Perfect. I grabbed this, I've got this leather thread, and on its own, this looks like it has a little bit of purple or maroon to it. This looks really brown, but when you hold them together, I think they work really well. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and just a little extra, so I'm not fighting it. Boom. You can do this so that it's on the tie is on the outside or the inside. I am this time going to do it so that the knot is on the spine. I think that's going to be pretty because I like this thread. So when you want the tie on the outside, the knot, and when you're done, just start on the outside. If you want it in the middle so it's not seen as much, just start inside the notebook. It's really easy. And if it's really big and you don't think 3 holes is enough, you can do this with 5. That's not a problem at all. Okay, so we're just going to go through this hole. The first, oh, look at that, came right through. The first one, sometimes you need to separate it just to make sure you're coming through. I'm going to leave myself a nice tail so I don't pull it all the way through. Doesn't matter which hole you pick next. All the way through. This is just like the fastest. There we go. Pop it through. Make sure it's kind of snug. And this is the only time you need to be kind of careful, is make sure when you push it through that you don't go through this thread. And that usually doesn't happen if you're using a waxed thread. If you're using something that's softer, it may run a greater risk of doing that, but not today. That's going to be fine. So boom, let's tie that. And then well, maybe I'll do another knot and then I'll do the bow. I've never had one of these come untied, but I'm kind of trying to be real careful. So cute. Look at that. That's all we got to do. And there's just a little bit left over. That's not a big deal. Take my clips off. Okay. And now we're up to 2 notebooks. Isn't that great? Perfect. Okay. So then we're going to do our third. And this one is really fun. Again, you can trim this down if you want to. This is a great notebook that idea that I came upon, because sometimes your paper is just, it's just too small for folding, and either your covers or your inside paper. And so what you can do with this, okay, let me get this all set up here. So I'm going to use my awl tool. Actually, I'm going to clip first. I get to talking and I forget what I'm doing. Okay, I think 2 should be enough. And it doesn't really matter which side is the cover. I just know that I like that little edge, the way they've got that inked. And, okay. So I'm going to use the centimeter side just because, again, I get more marks and it's a little easier for me to see what I'm going to do. So it's at 10, and what I need 5 holes, okay? So I can go in at 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. That's what I'm going to do. So 1, go all the way through all those pages. That's going to take a second there. If you've got, and I do have over in the corner, but I'm a little late now to use it. When I use my awl, I like to push it all the way through to get a nice good size hole, because when you come back with your needle and thread, especially with this one, you're going to go through it a couple times. You want to make sure that hole is large enough so you're not tearing it accidentally. And then we're going to do, let me get it really straight here. 3. If you've got, what's it called, a cinch machine, that makes holes also. You can certainly break out your cinch machine if you haven't used it for a while. I don't use mine very often. It was a gift and I was excited about it. I like it. I just don't use it very often. But this is a good project for that. And then we're going to go to 5. I'll tell you, when you're putting a notebook together some night, a journal, and you've got all these little notebooks already made, it's like having your journal cards already made in advance. It's such a time saver, because I love making journals, but, you know, after about 2 hours, I'm like, okay, I need a break, I'm tired, and I poop out. And then coming back to it later, it may not always feel as fun. And so this is just really nice to have some of these elements already ready to go. It just takes some pressure off so that I keep enjoying what I'm doing and I don't get tired of what I started. Okay, last hole. Here we go. There. I use a different needle on this one. I'm not sure why, but I have found that blot these others. Where did it go? Is it in here? Oh, it might be in another. Let me see if I could. I've got another needle that's round and it works really nice for these tight corners. Let me poke through here my binding notebook. Let's see if they are in here. because you know I'm going to find them 5 minutes after I finish this video. So they're probably buried on my desk somewhere. Well, I guess I'm not using my favorite round needles today because I don't see them. That's okay. I've got these other nice needles. Oh, there they are. Like I told you, I knew they'd be somewhere. So I've got these other needles and these work really nice. If you're getting into this process of binding these journals and little mini notebooks, having different kinds of needles can be, you may just have a different preference depending on the approach that you're doing. So let's get this thread out. I'm going to use the same thread. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use a little more than on the other one, and you'll see why in a second here. Okay, hopefully this is enough. I haven't done this approach for a while, but I do like it. Okay, these holes aren't as big, so we'll see if my intention's going to work after all. Oh, good, it's going through. Don't lose it. Yes. Okay, so with this, I don't know why, it just makes it so much easier. And I want the knot to be in the front, right in the middle. So this is the first hole that I'm going to go through. And as you watch me do this, you'll see how it all comes together. You really can't make a mistake. You don't have to follow this exactly the way I'm doing it. It's all going to come together. Okay, so there's my first hole. And I'm going to, again, pull it all the way through, leave myself a tail. I'm going to go back through, and this is why you want to make sure that's a good size hole, and why this needle, you can see how much fatter that is. That's a lot to go through that small hole. So I do like the rounded one. It just gives you a different angle. Okay, see how that made that little tie there? That's what we want, okay? And now from the back side, what we're going to do is we're going to pick another hole. Doesn't really matter which way you go. Okay, and then we're going to go back around and come back through. You see how this is going to come together? It's going to make a chain link of all these by the time we're through. See how nice that is? Okay, and then I'm going to go through here. And I don't follow a specific pattern. I have nothing memorized. This is just how it comes together for me. Okay, and then I'm going to go through like this. Oops. Like that. Oopsie. Careful. Keep watching your threads and your tails. Make sure you don't lose anything here. And then I'm going to do one on the end. There we go. And I got to come back through this hole because there's a space there. Okay, is that making sense? See, we've got 3 of them done on almost all the sides. I'm going to go back through this middle one, close this little hole here. So this is the 3rd time that we've gone through this hole. So really important that you push that all the way through to make that hole big enough for these number of times they're going through. Come back through here. And you can see now why I use more thread than I normally do on a simple pamphlet stitch. I'm going to go back through here, and it just keeps coming together. Again, you don't have to write anything down. You don't have to memorize this. You're just going to see the holes and you're going to be like, oh, I got to put a stitch there. Oh, I've got to put my chain there. See how that comes together? And I'm going to come around the back. And you don't have to do the ends. I just do. I don't know that everybody does. Honestly, I could probably look back at some of my notebooks and think, huh, I didn't do it. Okay, we're almost done. Almost done. I'm going to come back through. Actually, yeah, I want to come back through here. Almost through. Okay, and so now to come back through and tie the knot, you've got a couple different choices. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them are done on that side, but I want this string to come back through. So I can do a couple things. I can either wind it around and come back through that hole, or I can actually just come back up through this hole. So you've got a couple different choices here. I'm just gonna come back through, I think, this hole. I think that'll just be as easy. See what I'm doing there? I'm just bringing it back through, but you've got a couple different choices there. And then let's do like that. And then I can tie it. So again, I've heard this stitch called a few different things. There's different ones out there. And they you know, they all have a kind of a different purpose, a different intention behind them. I do like this one. It takes a little bit longer, but isn't it great for when your paper's smaller and you want to use it, you don't want it to go to waste. And this way you've got such a pretty little stitch. And then I can trim up. Where'd my scissors go? I'm just going to trim up the sides here. And now I've got this cute little notebook. And this is a nice one too because it can go either direction. So this could also be one that you put in vertically, or it could be horizontally in your journal. Whatever, and whatever fits when you make your journal, then you'll know what you need. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, this is just an approach for making 3 small little journal spaces for inside your folios. And I hope you enjoy making these as much as I do. I just think they're awesome. So anyways, hey, have a great Sunday. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.